What's up guys, Sean here, and today I wanted to give you my first impressions on this beauty right here. This is the Demko AD20 and this is a custom. This is very special guys. This one right here is in Magnacut blade steel and it has red G10 handles that were modified to look like redwood. Or actually tree bark, but the nickname of this knife is redwood. So this is a clip point, I believe, and this blade is hand ground by Demko. A couple things that I've noticed about this knife since the 24 hours or so that I've been handling it are that the ergonomics are really amazing, especially when cutting. You are really locked into this thing, and the blade is surprisingly slicey. I would have never believed it if you look how thick that freaking blade stock is at the spine, but oh my god, does this thing cut good. And another little thing that I have discovered is that you have a little choke up point right here, and it's not like a finger choil, but it's nice because you don't lose any cutting edge right here, and you have this nice spaced out jimping that is not harsh on your fingers at all right here. So you have a very nice choked up position also. And as you can see, I have gotten the hang of manipulating this shark lock. Didn't take me very long. At first, I was trying to kind of sling the knife forward before I was actuating this, and now pull it back first all the way, and then kind of sling your hand forward. I had to teach myself that this is not a compression lock, so you have to pull that lever back pretty much all the way. If you do it like almost all the way, you can get it in usually, but you generally want to just pull it back kind of as much as you can. I've found that the best way for me personally to deploy this knife is middle finger flick, which is fine with me. And the thumb flick works also. It works perfectly fine, but I kind of feel like this would be a little bit better if it had a thumb stud right here, because I do like the hole through the blade. I like that a lot. I would not change that a bit. I haven't found anything that I feel would be a necessary change, but I do like to have a thumb stud option. Just gives you a little bit better grip. I can get my thumb in there and flick it fine. And of course, there I failed twice. But I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people that do not find it as easy, because as you can see, I don't think it's really meant to be thumb flick that way. I could be wrong, but the middle finger flick works pretty reliable, so that is nice. And taking a look at this blade here, I was unaware at first that this is actually hand ground by Demko, and this grind is damn near perfect. I thought this thing wasn't going to cut very well because of the thickness at the spine, but it must have a very, very well done taper in order to get a blade this thick to cut as good as it does. So we're looking at a thickness behind the edge. Well, you know what? I have my calipers here, so we might as well measure it, and I can tell you exactly what that is. Holy shit. 11 thou behind the edge. That is why this thing cuts so fucking good. Wow, I was not expecting that. Holy crap. So this thing goes from, let's see how thick this bastard is up here. I estimated 180 thou when I did the unboxing. Let's see. Ha! 181 thousandths. That is freaking, that's badass. I am going to just go ahead and pat myself on the shoulder real quick. I had never once heard the thickness of these. And I don't know if this is the same thickness as production models or not. I mean, this is handmade, so I would imagine there would be some variations. So that just made me feel pretty good right there, and lets me know that I know a little bit of what the hell I'm talking about here. So maybe that will be a little reassurance to some of you guys if you're newer here. But anyway, moving on. Enough stroking my own ego. Let's see. Those are the main things that I have kind of noticed since the initial unboxing. I'm still in the process of checking this bad boy out, but I gotta say I'm thoroughly impressed so far. The one thing that I would change is I wish Andrew Demko would find a way to add a detent to this. And I have an idea that I feel like would work in theory. If anybody is familiar with the SPYDERCO smock, then you know it has two detents. It has a primary detent, which is on the compressor, or it's part of the button lock assembly. And then it has a second detent, which is, it sits in the liner. Okay, it has a hole drilled out in the liner, and then there's a spring that sits inside that hole, and then you have a detent ball that just sits on top of that spring, and that is wedged between the blade tang near the pivot and a small detent hole cut out in the blade. So that gives you extra detent strength. And I'm wondering how much of a detent or how much of a crispness you could possibly get with that style of detent. I don't think it has ever been tried on this, and I haven't heard anybody else mention this idea. I came up with this on my own, but I'm pretty sure if Andrew Demko was willing to work on trying that design, there's a million different size detents out there, and you can adjust the depth of the detent hole on the blade and adjust different size of the detent. And you know, I'm sure there's a way that they could make a good feeling detent on this knife if they just, you know, did it like how I said. So I don't know, maybe I will try to email him. I'm sure he's very busy, and I highly doubt he will have any interest in really taking advice or opinions from me, but hey, who knows? It's worth a shot for you Demko lovers. So this is my first experience with a Demko. Like I said, not having that crisp, clean break from a detent is something that I would like to see changed. But this knife still has a very nice action. It's really similar to a Axis style lock where you have, let me get it. You don't have a detent on this either. The blade is held by spring tension, okay? That spring tension is on this lock, which is exactly how this is. Spring tension on the lock, which rides against the blade tang, and that's what keeps it in place. And in order to deploy it, you just have to overcome that spring. And the action on this is really, really good. It's a little bit more difficult to flick this out, but I mean, if you flick knives a lot, I'm sure you'll be able to get the hang of it without too much difficulty. And then, let's see, was there anything else about this that I wanted to point out? I guess not. I just wanted to say that I'm thoroughly impressed with this hand ground blade. I cut up some thinner cardboard that was part of some packaging that drinks were in, and this thing went through like butter, and it went through so easy that I had to grab one of my thinner knives just to, cut it and double check to make sure I was not tripping on how well this thing cut through. And I wasn't tripping. I took a knife that had a thicker blade and it did not go through as easy. So now that I actually measured this blade behind the edge and at the spine, well, the spine doesn't really account for how well it cut, but the thickness behind the edge definitely accounts for and explains a lot of how this knife could cut so good with a spine this thick. So I'll have more to come on this bad boy right here, but I just wanted to give you guys an update, a little bit of content to keep you occupied. Hope everybody's having a great day and a great start to their week. Thank you everybody for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.